Hi, I'm Ross Randrup here at eMotors, Velo Verde in Sebastopol, California. And we specialize in lightweight electric vehicles such as bicycles, scooters, and motorcycles. We think that's going to be a really great thing in the future of our society, get more people out of cars and into lighter vehicles. It ends up being safer for everyone. I'm into my third year. I share the building with two other electric vehicle-related companies. I'm front and center. I ended up in the front. I'm really the only one that's retail-oriented. The rest are sort of car conversions, and there's a company who's building an electric vehicle and plans to produce it here in Sebastopol. So production will probably begin in this building, and then as they expand, they'll move into another building in town. The larger category of this bike, it's a recumbent tricycle, and this particular type with the two wheels in the front is called a tadpole layout. And this one's kind of unique. It's from a company called Trike in Serbia. They build the frames there. I import them and build the bikes. This one happens to have sort of the best motor kit out there, called the EcoSpeed, and it's in the chain path. It's a 1,000-watt motor, and being in the chain path, it allows you to use the gearing with the motor, so it can climb just about anything, and it has pretty good speed. I won't mention numbers, but basically the motor's here. It drives the crank. The crank can freewheel. So when you're running the motor, you don't have to pedal to keep up. It has the controller that drives the motor. And battery's usually mounted on the back rack in the bag. There's no battery on it at the moment, but usually fits right in there. Without electric, it's about 42 pounds. It's a steel frame except for the boom, which is aluminum. But the unique feature is the double wishbone front suspension. It's really kind of the only trike out there that has that, so it just eats up rough roads. It's quite comfortable. Also has rear suspension, disc brakes all around. Quite a fun ride. They run these down the luge courses in Yugoslavia in the summer for fun, and they jump them, and they're kind of a blast. A basic one like this one behind you, for instance, the yellow one, non-motorized, that's about $3,800. Motor kits vary. This is a higher end one, so it's about $2,400 before the battery. So the battery can add another $500 to $1,000 depending on what kind of range and speed you're looking for. I think this one came out about $7,000. It really depends on the component levels someone chooses and the accessories. But like I say, that's kind of my high-end trike. It's really unusual. I'm the importer, so there are a lot of trikes that are much less costly, and you can get one with a really useful motor on a trike for, say, $2,200. Be quite useful with an 18 to 20 mile range. I worked in the electronics industry. I worked for HP for years in the 80s. You know, at times in my life I've been an organic farmer, so I've always been interested in green stuff of all kinds. Really looking for a new direction in my life when I did this. I'm happy. It's definitely a struggle in the recession, and just being a small business owner, it's just a lot of work, a lot of time, and it impacts my personal life in many ways. A lot of long nights. I'd like to see more lightweight vehicles on the roads, not just on the bike paths. I'd like to see larger vehicles, heavy vehicles taken off the roads, or have the roads shared, make it much safer for people to ride lighter vehicles. More charge stations. A lot of the charge stations being installed with federal grants for automobiles have no facility to charge lighter vehicles with a 110 outlet. They're all 220, very particular connectors. So I'd like to see that. Rather than having people have to ask a business owner if they can use that outlet out back, or I'd like to see it made easier. Barcelona, for instance, has tons of charge ports set up just for electric bicycles and electric scooters, and they have multiple stations, basically a bike rack with outlets. So I'd like to see that in America. We have a couple design projects for hybrid bicycle motorcycle. I'd like to see that come to fruition. I think an important element of light vehicles is going to be all-weather, so fully enclosed. And an example of that is over here on the far corner. This is called a Velomobile. This one was built in the Netherlands about 10 years ago, so they've been doing it a while. Has a windshield wiper, turn signals, brake lights, the canopy, so it has lifts on it. Pedal assist. This is a used vehicle. I got it used. I've wanted one for a while. And it has no frame per se. It's a monocoque build, so everything's attached to this fiberglass portion in here. All the wheels are bolted onto that. So there's no steel or aluminum frame on this, which helps lighten it. So it basically has a lot of standard bicycle components, wheels, disc brakes, and then it will have a hub motor in the rear wheel. So this is still a tadpole trike because it has 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the rear. And then it will have a kind of a recumbent type seat here. The windows can pop out. This originally was a 30-mile-per-hour vehicle, and in the US that would put it in a moped category, so that would allow it to be used on the streets. But since it's a tadpole bicycle layout, you could take this on bike paths as well and it would still be legal as long as you were below 20 miles an hour. So I would love to see lots of vehicles like this for short local trips, even trips to Santa Rosa, say trips up to 20 miles. And there's no reason that this can't have a good range of 40 miles, so you could make a 40-mile round trip. 2 people can lift it into a pickup, for instance, if you need to move it. It's just a great solution. If all the vehicles on the road were lighter, you'd be at less risk in something like this. And many people feel it's worth it to be out there with one of these anyway. I'd like to see lots of these in the States. There aren't very many. This is a pretty unique one. They're still building these, kind of a lesser, simpler version. This one was a little too expensive at the time to produce, and they're hoping to start production with a large production number to bring costs down. And at one point I've talked with them about licensing this vehicle and building it here. That's a big project. I can't really take that on now. Maybe there's someone out there who wants to work on that. I'd like to leave people with encouragement to try an electric bike, scooter, motorcycle, see if it can work in your life. People are usually pretty amazed when they try one because they've maybe heard that they weren't very powerful, which they weren't in the past. Batteries have come a long way. They're much lighter now and have a much longer life. They're much more practical for people because they're lighter weight. They really fit in so many people's lives for shopping. You can carry a couple of bags of groceries. I would just encourage people to experiment. Encourage your local businesses who are doing things like this because they need your help. They will add a lot to our society.